This is the opening range breakout. It's one of the most popular day trading strategies on the internet today. I backtested it on Nasdaq using Claude Code and TradingView. Over the last 5 of 7 years, it's been green and has positive expectancy. So that means the orb as a strategy works, right? Well, here's the same strategy on the S&P 500 on the ES futures contract. Same strategy, same rules, but the edge is gone. But here's the thing that should scare you the most. Nasdaq, the green setup, is the bigger lie. If you can't tell why, you'll find out with real money. In this video, I'm going to show you how to build out the opening range breakout strategy using Claude Code and PineScript to test the strategy. Claude Code will actually write the whole script for you in PineScript, so you don't have to worry about writing any code yourself. Then I'm going to show you how to read the result in TradingView and cut through the BS, because just because you have a green setup doesn't mean the strategy actually works. The gap between having a green backtest to actually implementing the trade and trading it live is massive. Then stick around because I'll show you the test that shows that just because you have a green backtest doesn't mean the strategy is actually worthwhile to put your capital into. Almost nobody runs this test, and orb is just one strategy that you can apply it to. And one promise up front, because a lot of gurus and other people will try to sell you on their indicators, their strategies. But I'll tell you up front, TradingView is just a surface level test that will allow you to quickly go from hypothesis to understanding if a strategy may actually work before you do the hard work of the actual truthful backtest. So what is the opening range breakout strategy? On this chart here, you can see an example of the opening range. The opening range is defined as either the first 15 or 30 minutes of the open of the market, depending on who you talk to. For me in California, this is 6:30 a.m. to 6:45 or 7 a.m. During this first period, the market will make a high and a low, and you mark those levels here. So you can see we have a low at this level here and a high at this level here. In this example, we're using the first half an hour to define the opening range. Then you execute the trade on the break out of that opening range. So you can see we have our entry here. What's great about being able to code this in Claude Code using TradingView is that you can change these parameters. So we define our entry here as a confirmation of 10 candles that close outside of the opening range to enter a trade in the direction of the breakout. So on this day, you can see we broke lower, had 10 candles close outside the range, and entered in short at this level right here. And then this is where the strategy has a lot of variables. You can define your exit as multiples of the range or hold to the end of the day. In this example, you can see the trade held all the way to the end of the day right here. So I'll show you how to build this out in TradingView using Claude Code and change these parameters around to show you how TradingView can give you real results and understand if this strategy is profitable. So I built this out in TradingView. I'll show you on the TradingView strategy panel here. You can actually see real results for a given time period to see the total P&L, the drawdown, and the profitable trades. So this one, there was 13 trades. Out of those 13, 12 were profitable, and we had a max drawdown of around 7,000 with a profit of 45K P&L. So that looks amazing on paper. So let's dive into how to build this and how to understand if this is just a lie to us or if it's a real strategy. So now let's begin by opening up Claude Code. If you're unfamiliar with Claude Code is a AI coding tool that you can use to do pretty much anything. In our case, we are using it to write our PineScript code so we can test different strategies in TradingView. So the first thing we want to do is define our setup in plain English. So to define it in plain English, what I'll do is I'll define it here in this text box. I'll be sharing this prompt as an example in this repo. More on that later. From here, I define what language we're using. So I'm saying we're going to write a PineScript indicator for the opening range breakout. And then I define the rules that we just talked about. So either the first 15 or first half an hour, and then we're going to plot the opening range high and low, and then make a signal bar when the bar closes outside that range. So pretty straightforward, but this is the exact strategy we're using to execute this trade. What's amazing about Claude Code today is that it can one-shot a lot of these prompts pretty easily. So since I already have this code built, it's going to find it and reference it. But for now, I'm just going to head and stop it to show you the results. So what I'll do is I'll open my indicator folder here. And what I have is two files. One is the strategy and one is the actual indicator. Now the strategy is what allows us to test and get these stats in TradingView. So I'll open this. And what I have to do, it's as simple as copying and pasting here. So copying this text here, this is all the code. So now if I'm starting from scratch, all I would do is open up the PineScript panel here and paste the code that Claude Code gave us. And then once I hit play, I'll see the strategy that we were just working on. So from here, this will give us the ability to go into our settings of the strategy to change what we want to change here. So you can see we have our opening range defined with our regular session defined as well. And then our signal time frame. So this is the variance I was talking about. You can have your signals on 1 minute candles, 5 minute candles, just depending on how you want to approach your strategy. And each one of these will change the end of the day results. So you can see now on the bottom left here, I have a P&L of $3,700, and it's because we have this confirmation close outside the range at 1 minute. So it'll enter in the 1 minute after candle close. But say you wanted to change that to 5 minutes. So if we change it to 5 minutes, you can see our P&L went up. And then if you wanted to go for higher profit levels, we can add a R multiple of different values as well. So if I wanted to do 3, so what that means is the stop would be the full length of this opening range. And then we'd aim for 3x of that opening range as our exit. And that's it. Our TradingView panel will give us our different stats, like I mentioned earlier. You can change your different time frame ranges. So if I want to do 90 days, it'll give me a full 90 days here, depending on what plan you have. So now this is quick and dirty. It'll tell us strategy might be profitable, but this is such a small window. You wouldn't be able to fully understand if this strategy is profitable or if it's just profitable in this time frame. So notice what I did in this whole process. I didn't ask Claude Code to find me a strategy. I told it exactly what I wanted. Precise input, precise output of this exact opening range strategy. And it's the part that people get backwards about AI and trading strategies. The model itself is non-deterministic. This means you can ask the same question twice and you might get multiple different answers. This is useful if you're brainstorming or trying to get different ideas and different strategies and different approaches. However, when you want to get data and actually backtest, you need to have the code be deterministic. So that means every time you execute the code, you'll get the same result. And what it's producing at the end of the day is code that you can test, change different variables, and understand if strategies may or may not be worth pursuing further. And that's the whole idea of building this as a test tool. The non-deterministic helps me think, and the deterministic is what I ship. And the best part about all this is you don't actually have to understand code. A lot of this is in plain English, so we can quickly review to see what the code is actually doing. So if I open up my PineScript here, you can see a lot of it is just comments. Anything with the slashes is comments. But you can see that with Claude Code, it does a really great job about providing comments and context so you can understand what is actually happening and then match it to the settings. So you can see here, we have our opening range session from 9:30 to 10 a.m. is what we're defining as our opening range, which is our default time on Eastern Standard Time. Then we have RTH and time zone as well. So all these are different inputs that you'll see when you do the settings in the actual strategy itself. So you can see there's just different titles, different colors, and we define the opening range levels here as well. So if you read through it, you can kind of get an intuitive feel for what the code is actually doing, even if you don't know how to code. And then the best part about this is if you have a question about this code, you can highlight different lines and ask Claude Code what each one actually means and what it does. So this is the opening range, and this is how you can test it yourself and not rely on some guru to tell you if it's profitable or not. And one quick thing while it's still relevant, this orb strategy with the TradingView indicator and everything I've been talking about is available as a free resource. Click the link below and I'll email it directly to you. As I build more and more content and resources, plan to share all this in a GitHub repo that you can download and test and try to use it on your own strategies as well. So now that we have the code and the strategy, and we think it's profitable, let's tear it apart. So if you remember the start of this video, I showed the two equity curves for trading this strategy on both Nasdaq and the S&P 500. Nasdaq was strongly green with 119K of profits. So with these rules, that means you would trade Nasdaq and not S&P, right? And this is the trap and the misleading things I see a lot with different YouTube gurus and why you should test for yourself. What happens if I take this equity curve apart to try to understand it better? The first thing I'll do is I'll split the strategy into both long and short positions. So if I take the orb setup for Nasdaq and take all the longs and take all the shorts and plot them on their own curves, you can see that longs are strongly positive while shorts are barely positive. So this is the start of why I should be cautious and question this setup. Why are shorts less profitable than longs? Typically, edges work in both directions. Now, this may be just because this might be a one-sided edge, but I still would take caution and dive a little deeper. So now let's say I completely throw the opening range breakout strategy out the window and I just do a dumb control. This means I would just buy at 10 a.m. every morning and sell the close every day. If I did this, I would still net 54K. And this tells me half of Orb's edge is just intraday drift, especially over the last 7 years. So there's no breakout logic, but it's just buying and riding a bull market for the last 7 years. So if you put all this together, fixed target, fixed range, no context, this doesn't beat just owning the index. This edge just hides the fact that buying over the last 7 years has been green. So although this equity curve is green, it's lying to you and not telling you the full story. So now the real question is, how do you make it better? Well, that's the whole reason why I built this channel. Over time, I'm planning to go more deep into these ideas and strategies and show you how I actually perform backtest over several years. And out of that, profitable strategies do come. It just takes a lot more work than a lot of people and influencers will tell you. So in the upcoming videos, I'll talk about how I use Sierra chart, how I use tick data, and deeper backtest to validate strategies and put them into the market live. I'll explain what the one-person trading desk is and how I've built over 10 rules that I use Claude Code for to help me become a better trader and develop backtest and automatic trading strategies. And these are not automatic trading strategies where you put a bot into the market and it trades for you. These are using your own knowledge and market expertise to define strategies to deploy live in the market. And here's the thing, I'm making all of this public and available and providing resources that you can download in the GitHub repo. And as I build more and more of these videos and content, I'll make sure all the content and resources are available in that GitHub repo. Right now, you can access it. It's mostly stubbed out with just the framework of how I trade. And as I make more and more videos, I'll add more and more content to that repo. So today, it's a surface read and an introduction to me, Drew, and one-person trade desk. Over time, we'll get deeper into validation and trading and using Claude Code and other LLMs to make you a better trader. What we built today was real and useful and only the start. So here's how you can access the repo. The one-person trade desk repo, the strategy files, the frameworks, and everything I'm building across these series is a free reward for joining the newsletter. Click the link below and drop your email and you'll get direct access to the repo and all the code we talked about in this video. That's it, there's no catch. My plan is to release weekly newsletters to show you how to leverage Claude Code and other AI to help you become a better trader and to test new theories and build automatic trading systems for yourself. So today, grab the repo, see where it's currently at, and come back for a deep dive. In the newsletter itself, I'll be breaking down each week a new aspect of using AI and specifically Claude Code to break down strategies and build automatic trading systems. I'll talk about how I built my trading system, where it's failed and where it succeeded, and how you can do it too. And since I'm brand new to YouTube, I'd love to hear what you'd like to see, what strategy you're trying, and how you're using AI today to build out your trading strategy. My name's Drew. Thanks for watching. Later.